Virgo, welcome to your monthly horoscope for March 2026. My name's Adeana. I'm an intuitive astrologer. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you align with my energy and enjoy my content. Let's get right into the energy you'll be navigating for the month ahead. Okay, so I break these monthly horoscopes down by week and I select a chart for each week to give you a bit of a visual. So, the first week of March, this is a big week for you, Virgo, as we have the lunar eclipse in Virgo in your sign on the 3rd. But before we get into that, let's just touch our basis. So, coming into the month, we've got Mercury retrograde in your seventh house. Mercury is your chart ruler. Watch for miscommunications, misunderstandings, lack of clarity. This is where relationships can come back from the past. This is where there could be miscommunication and misunderstandings within relationships. This is where there could be secrets revealed within relationships. Now, on the 2nd of March, Mars is going to enter Pisces. Mars is going to enter your seventh house of relationships. Mars rules anger, aggression, conflict, also separation and severing. And so this could bring, some interesting dynamics to relationships that you just want to be cautious of. On the 3rd, we have the total lunar eclipse in Virgo at 12 degrees. And so this is your first house of you. What have you already been navigating for over a year now? And it has to do with you and your partnerships. There's more to the story coming in at this time. If you watch my videos, I talk about when the nodes transit a sign and eclipses, there's like a 2-year story playing out. And every time we have an eclipse in those signs, there's more to the story coming in. There's another chapter. And so this is one of those things. Now, with the South Node has to do with our karmic comfort zone. So you've been shaken out of complacency, shaken out of your comfort zones over the last year when it has to do with relationships. And it really is to put you on a path that is more in alignment with who you are and also really letting go of aspects of yourself that you're done with, that are no longer aligned with this new version of self that you're moving into, especially when it has to do with relationships and connecting to other people. So, with this lunar eclipse, there's something highlighted here. And this is not just going to be a 1 day event. This is a couple days before, a couple days after. So, by the time you're watching this video, you probably already know what I'm talking about. Whatever is showing up in your world, that is to show you something about yourself, to move you in a new direction that is more in alignment. Now, once we get to the 5th, we have the sun forming a trine to Jupiter. And so the sun is going to be here in your seventh house. Jupiter retrograde is well, Jupiter's still retrograde at this point. All of the orange planets here and even the nodes, that's showing you what's retrograde, just so you know. And this is in your 11th house of friendships, social groups, online connections. However, Jupiter is at a standstill right now. So, what this shows me is there's something shifting internally. Whatever's going on with relationships, and because this is a water trine, this is very emotional, very intuitive. There could be friends or something around friendships and groups and associations you're connected to helping out with something around a relationship, but this could also be a lot coming to the surface or a lot shifting emotionally and internally based on whatever it is you're navigating. And again, because it could show up in multiple ways. So I know with these horoscopes, they're kind of vague, but it's because I want to touch all of the bases because there's so many different possibilities. And unless I have your chart in front of me, I don't know exactly how. And so I try to like kind of cover everything by saying it could be this, could be this. But yeah, I look at this though because we've got two retrograde planets, but also we've got Mercury retrograde, but with the sun forming a trine to Jupiter retrograde, this is like some really powerful internal insight, wisdom. There's something being gained here through all the misunderstanding or through all the lack of clarity. It's like this is a time to really follow your intuition and your gut feeling. And I know sometimes for Virgo, that could be a little bit challenging. I'm also Virgo rising, I get it. But this is a time, and this is what the nodes are teaching you. Having that South Node in Virgo and the North Node in Pisces, this is showing us to let go of control, release control, let go of the fear of needing to control outcomes, especially around relationships, and learning to just just trust that everything's going to fall into place, that you are in alignment, and that what is meant to be will be, learning to trust. And I feel like, well, I know for me, what this has done is really given me no other choice but to do that. There's been things completely done out of my control. I've had no other option but to just trust karma, trust the process, and just let go of, things that you can't control, right? And then on the 7th, on the 6th, we've got Venus entering Aries. And then when Venus enters Aries on the 7th, Venus is going to form a conjunction to Neptune, and on the 8th, Venus is going to form a conjunction to Saturn. And so the 6th, the 7th, and the 8th, we've got Venus and Aries, and then Venus connecting to Neptune, Saturn right here. Now, this is in your 8th house of shared resources, your partner's finances. So anything around taxes, debt, inheritance, loans, also psychological healing and transformation. That's one thing Saturn here is going to do for you, Virgo, is completely transform you on a psychological level. Some of that is bringing up your deepest fears so you can address them and transmute them and transform them. Now, when Venus enters Aries, Venus doesn't necessarily like to be in Aries, but Venus rules your second house of money, finances, and material possessions, and also your ninth house of your belief systems, higher education, higher knowledge, your religious beliefs, astrology. So it could be showing up in those areas of life, like Neptune can bring in confusion, lack of clarity. Saturn can bring in more commitment, more responsibility, but then also a very solid stop or halt to something. So if there's something you're trying to do or get going with your finances, this could be a little bit difficult. If you're booking a trip or wanting to go back to school or publish something or something along those lines, it could just be a little bit challenging. Or, depending on your chart, like the only reason why I say it could be challenging is just because this Venus doesn't like to be in Aries. But there is the possibility that there could be something very solid developed here too. So it depends on your chart. So yeah, just know your options, right? Know it could go like the possibilities. And then also we're gonna have our Mercury cazimi on March 7th. So the same time Venus forms a conjunction to Neptune, we're gonna have our Mercury cazimi. This is a day where we want to pay attention to our intuitive downloads, our important conversations, what is standing out. Yeah, this is like aha moments, clarity on these Mercury cazimis. So that's March 7th. So I highly recommend journaling the entire month, but definitely these dates that I kind of specify because these are dates where there's going to be important things showing up that may seem insignificant. And this could just be powerful thoughts, or you're driving and you get like an epiphany, like, those moments. It could be something like that. Or maybe you're talking with a partner or you're talking with, somebody that's close to you because it's in that seventh house of one-on-one connections and something stands out, something shifts. That's what happens on those Mercury Cazimi moments. Then we get to the second week. And on the 9th, we have Mercury retrograde forming a trine to Jupiter retrograde. And so this is again one of those energies I feel like is more internal. However, when I say internal, I mean like something shifts inside, like your intuition, like something just clicks. But what showed up for you around February 16th? Because that's the first time that we had Mercury trine Jupiter, only Mercury was pre-shadow still moving forward. Now Mercury's retrograde. So there's something that may have shown up on February 16th that you will be revisiting with that trine. Then on the 10th, we have Jupiter stationing direct. And on the 13th, we have Mars forming a conjunction to the North Node. So this could be, again, a mixed bag. Mars is anger, aggression, conflict, separation. But Mars also gives us the most motivation and willpower and drive to move forward with something. But because of all the Mercury retrograde energy in general, and Mars being in Pisces, which doesn't do the greatest, I'm not sure if I love the forward movement. Like, we're going to feel like we want to move forward with something, but I just don't know what the outcome's going to be with this. Because yeah, like Mars is not able to see things clearly at the moment, being in Pisces, and it's so close to this Mercury retrograde. And then just like the next day, well, so Mars forms a conjunction to the North Node on the 13th, and on the 15th, Mercury retrograde and Mars have a conjunction. So it's literally within a few days. Um, so from the 13th to the 15th, there's something you're wanting to move forward with, but there could be a lack of clarity, or moving forward with or taking action based on like lack of facts, like, you know what I mean? Miscommunication, misunderstandings. Like that's very much this energy. So we just want to be cautious of that. Then we get to the third week of March, and on the 17th, we've got Mercury retrograde forming a conjunction to the North Node. So, again, this is the 17th. This is another day you want to pay attention to your intuitive downloads, your important conversations, what is showing up in your world. What important thoughts are you having? Messages, conversations. What are you seeing online that's standing out? That is all important. On the 18th, we have the new moon in Pisces at 28 degrees. And so this is not an eclipse, but this is still going to feel and hold energy as an eclipse. And it's still going to bring in new change for this whole nodal journey and cycle that's playing out in Virgo and Pisces. So whatever you've been navigating for the last year, there's something new showing up here. There's something new being seeded at the time of this new moon and the new moon sextiling Uranus. So I do love this for powerful breakthroughs with whatever it is you're navigating, especially around relationships. Also, too, on that day, we have Venus forming a square to Jupiter. So Venus is going to be here in Aries, forming a square to Jupiter. Jupiter is now direct. This can be overindulgence, right? Like these are both benefic planets, but in a square. So this is too much of a good thing. This could be spending too much money because Venus is the ruler of that second house, plus in your eighth. Be careful of not taking too much when we're talking about loans, like you don't want to get yourself over your head if you're taking out a loan. This is where, yeah, watch your shopping, watch your spending, when we're even traveling, because Venus rules that ninth house. This is just bringing in too much of something because Jupiter is that planet of expansion. So just be careful on that day. Just be a bit mindful. On the 20th, we start Aries season, and Mercury is going to station direct. So the sun's going to move into your eighth house, into Aries, and then Mercury will station. And then, so after the 20th, we finally will start to gain some clarity and understanding to everything we've been navigating weeks up until this point, right? Mercury stations then bring in, especially too, because Mercury is going to station pretty much on top of that North Node, there's definitely going to be a lot of clarity and epiphanies and like things clicking powerfully, which I love for everybody, but especially for us, Virgo rising, because if you're like me going through a lot of relationship stuff, you need some clarity, right? All right. And then on the 21st, we've got Mars forming a trine to Jupiter. So Mars is here in Pisces, forming a trine to Jupiter. So again, I don't know how to feel about this because Mars doesn't do the greatest in Pisces, but this could be bring positive action towards something. It's a water trine. So this is very emotional, very sensitive, very intuitive, very spiritual. It is a day to just watch. Like Jupiter is the ruler too of the seventh house. So this could bring some type of really powerful action being taken when it has to do with whatever you're navigating with relationships. So I do love that. We just want to be careful we're seeing things clearly again because we're still in this foggy energy. And then on the 22nd, the sun's going to form a conjunction to Neptune. And so this, I'm not sure how. I don't know. Like, I want you guys all to comment below how this shows up for you because the sun's going to be in Aries. The sun does great in Aries. This is in your eighth house of shared resources, your partner's finances, money coming in from outside resources like debt, taxes, inheritance, and also psychological healing and transformation. So, on the 22nd, the sun is doing great in Aries, but Neptune is making things cloudy, making things foggy. It's like diminishing the energy and vitality a little bit. So we just want to be really careful. This is also us too. We have to be careful of like our psyche. This is the house of like our psyche, right? The psychology. So we want to be careful too that with Neptune here, we're not feeding into delusions or untruths, or we are actually seeing things clearly. Then, once we get to the fourth week, we've got on the 25th, the sun is going to form a conjunction to Saturn and sextile Pluto. And then on the 25th, Saturn's gonna sextile Pluto. So pretty much from like the 22nd to the 28th, the sun is going to enter Aries, conjunct Neptune, conjunct Saturn, and then Saturn's going to form that sextile to Pluto, which I love because I think that this brings in opportunity for psychological healing and transformation on a really deep level. So I do love this. With the sun forming in conjunction to Saturn, again, it could just be a day where we're feeling a bit sluggish or there's just a stop, hold, limitation to something. And then on the 30th, we have Venus entering Taurus, which is nice because Venus rules Taurus. Venus loves being in Taurus. And then as we navigate April and move through April, we'll have all of this energy start to kind of shift into these other signs. So that is March. Again, yeah, the first portion of March, like February was intense, March is kind of intense. But as I tell everybody, we don't want to sit and wait for the astrology to get good. We want to learn how to navigate the astrology we have so that we can, utilize all the energies and we're not sitting here just waiting and letting time pass us by. All right, Virgo. Well, I hope this helps you navigate the energy for the month of March. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you align with my energy and enjoy my content, and I will connect with you in the next one.